What's up, podcast fam? Welcome to the Genesis Business Podcast, where we talk about the bold beginnings of the entrepreneurial journey. We're here to inspire you to turn your dream and vision into reality. My name is Michelle, and I am honored to be your host. Today, we're sitting down with Elie Tattoos. Thanks for being here. So I actually met Elie. It's a beautiful kind of, I don't believe in coincidences story.
Same.
So my sister got married last October and they did a Friday the 13th theme. She had like a black wedding dress and it was super cool. And they hired Elie to come do like a pop-up studio and do basically free tattoos for all the guests. But the funny thing is I was so scared that I waited till the end. I waited till the very last minute because I was stalling and I was so nervous because it was my first tattoo ever. So I stalled, procrastinated, and then at the end she's closing down. But she's so sweet. And I run up, I'm like, wait, I really want one. I'm just really scared. So she actually held it down, didn't close down, let me get the last tattoo.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the sweet memory I have of you and how we met.
Yeah. I just remember that my brother and I were so busy.
Yeah.
And originally it was just supposed to be me tattooing, but he saw how crazy it got and like multiple guests wanted to get tattooed. We just ended up tattooing the bridal party.
Yeah.
And so he helped me out tattoo at the end, and we were just so busy. It was crazy. And then, I knew that you were the sister. So I was like, I have to tattoo her. It's going to be so messed up if we like tattoo everybody else except her. Yeah. And so, I'm glad we did it. So congrats on your first tattoo.
It was really, really sweet. It was a precious memory, like at my sister's wedding. Very memorable. So I didn't know you. So you didn't even do guests. It was just purely the bridal party, but y'all were like busy the whole night. I think actually that's where we were for the rest of the event, just hanging out.
We didn't have enough time to tattoo any of the guests, but there was just like a line of guests that wanted to get tattooed, and we just were able to do the bridal party. So really, it was a learning experience. It was my first wedding, and so we realized, okay, we need to be more clear on who we're going to tattoo, whether it's going to be the bridal party or if it's going to be guests like in the future. So, but it was still really cool. And your sister and her husband, super chill and cool couple. So we enjoyed it. It was a good night.
So that was like your first wedding?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So now you're like noted. This
Yeah.
is intense.
Yeah. And we just had a flat fee for your sister. And then that's why we were able to provide the tattoos for the guests. But so it was just a cool learning experience. I would definitely do a wedding again, but I think, we would do just stuff differently for next time. But I said yes, to do that wedding because I was like, this is going to be great, for content. And so it was really cool. Like, it was such a beautiful wedding. I think that, it was really cool, the themed and like everything, like from the cake to the dress to the whole setup. It was very beautiful. So it was great for content for sure. Yeah.
So I'm like, all the people that didn't get to get a tattoo, she's ready and willing now. Yeah. So did you get a lot of, booked appointments after?
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 of the bridal guests that I had tattooed ended up DMing me after and wanting to book for something else or for like one of the girls' husbands or boyfriends. And so a couple of people definitely did follow up with me after. So I think for pop-ups, not only is it good for any business to put themselves out there and connect with people, but overall, like, view it as an opportunity to get cool content, especially like, a wedding or something, a big event like that.
Yeah, it's like super unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the pop-ups, because I kind of stalked your Instagram, of course, I'm like, oh, look at this girl. She's doing it. So you do a lot of pop-up events, like you'll just go kind of do things like that all the time?
No, I'm actually considering kind of taking a break from pop-ups for a while. I started doing this event called Amigas Forever and Ever by this girl. Her shop's name I think is Miradela, and her business name, and she hosts this event called Amigos Forever and Ever, and a Galentine's event. So she has a bunch of vendors who are mostly Latinas entrepreneurs, and she reached out to me maybe like 3-4 years ago, and so I've been working with her, and because of that, that gave me credibility, and other businesses have found me. I think then I started working with this boutique called Hemline, and I do pop-ups at Rice Village.
Oh, nice.
With that boutique, and then yeah, other people started finding me, other markets too. So all of that, they've found me through Instagram. So just doing these pop-ups, and like I'm sure even like the wedding one gave me credibility, and they're like, we want this girl. And so I know it's very popular because I've seen other artists do it in different like cities and states where they'll have like an artist come and tattoo there for an event. So I think that it's yeah, becoming more popular more and more. But the only downside is that like it just takes a lot of energy to take your whole equipment and set up for the whole day, and then tattooing multiple people after another. It's just very draining. So after that, like after an event, I won't tattoo for the next 2-3 days because I'm like, I'm drained.
You need self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
was
it's
actually
cool.
gonna ask, like, so if you're doing so well and it's like popping and people love it, why take the break? Why slow down? That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think because we're doing small tattoos, so it's mostly for like the content and like to put yourself out there. But as far as like financially, like I do better just staying in my studio and people coming to me, you know. But at the same time, because I do have a private studio, and I just book appointment only. Doing the pop-ups does give me an opportunity to have like walk-ins and like meet new people, you know, in a short amount of time. So it has its pros and cons, but mostly pros.
Yeah.
It's just like the fact that it's
Balance.
just like
Yeah.
a little bit more exhausting rather than me showing up at my studio, you know, and like doing appointment and like not being pressured with time and just being able to have a personal experience with my client. I really love that when it comes to being in a private studio.
So like more one-on-one, you just get
Yeah.
to spend more like individual time. Like actually we didn't talk, right?
Yeah,
So because you're like next. So you're doing a pop-up and you have a line and you're just next.
Yeah,
Luckily I found you later and, DM'd you and was like, hey, let's be friends.
Yeah.
But most people, you'd never see them again,
Exactly.
right? So,
And they usually don't always follow me on Instagram after the event. They're like, oh, I just got a tattoo, with this random tattoo artist. So,
So tell me, like, what is so fulfilling about the one-on-one experience? Like, why do you prefer that?
So personally, I have discovered and believe that I am an introvert.
Hey.
Yeah. So I think, like any introvert, we prefer like a deeper connection with whoever we interact with. So yeah, sitting with a person, having that appointment, knowing that they wanted to come with me, were interested in my work and my art, and then being able to connect with them and having, that one-on-one time is very fulfilling, and just getting to hear their story. It's definitely way more personable and more of an experience. The pop-ups are fun, and like even if you work at another studio, when you're like doing walk-ins, that can be fun as well. But for me as an introvert, like that's more draining. Yeah. So for me, like my process is just like, okay, I'll wake up, work on my art, have time to set up. Like it's just like more time on my hands in a way. And yeah, like just a deeper connection, making sure that like my full individual attention is on my client for that appointment, and making sure that they had a great experience with me. So it's very fulfilling.
Yeah, more intentional as well.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like kind of getting creative and preparing the art. So you want to tell me a little bit about how you do that? So I'm sure like for a pop-up it's different, right? Because you have a few that we can select from, and then for an individual, can they bring what they're wanting you to do?
Yeah. So usually I have people just DM me through Instagram. It's very casual right now, but people just find me through Instagram, send me a DM, send me what they want, and then I quote them, and basically people already know and have an idea of what they want. So most of the times I don't really work on the design myself, but if I do, I'll probably have it like a day or two before, or just work on the design with them in person once they're, for their appointment. But yeah, besides that, I don't really work on the art or design like a month or two prior. There's some artists that work that way, but most of them don't. Yeah.
I was just gonna ask, do you like prefer one or the other?
I think I prefer to work with the person the day of the appointment. Yeah, just like if we need to make any subtle change, we'll just do it in person together.
And then like they're bringing you what their vision is, and then you just kind of add
Yeah.
your creative spin on it.
Yeah. And like, or just like, um, if I think the placement is wrong or it can be in a different placement, then I'll talk to them about it. Or like, that's where like the design does matter depending on where they want the tattoo to be. And then we'll either like do a little bit of change or shifts, either make it smaller, larger, or whatever needs to be done to make it flow well with the body.
So you'll be honest and be like, we probably shouldn't put it there. Let's,
Yeah, especially where their first tattoos. Yeah,
You did help me place mine because I was like, I don't know, somewhere here, and you were like, well, because of the angle. So there's more going on than just, can you give me this tattoo?
Yeah, I think to make a good tattoo artist, like they definitely have to understand anatomy, and not only that, like people's skin too. So like, if you want to do it on your leg, but you have like a lot of acne there or eczema or whatever, then that does play a role in like me suggesting, okay, let's choose a different area because it's going to affect the design. So yeah, it's important to like, there's so many more aspects to tattooing than just doing a tattoo. Yeah, there's a lot of things that play into getting a tattoo, so it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, and like the care and maintenance too, because you were so sweet. You're like, here's a care package, take care of it, and I guess depending on where it is on the body is also important, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times it's just every person is different, and how they react to the ink is different, and to the trauma is different. Like those small tattoos are super easy. Like you kind of don't have to think about it. And I always tell my clients, like, don't overthink it. Just let your body heal it, because your body's going to do most of the work. Just keep it hydrated. But yeah, yesterday I went to my friend's tattoo studio, and one of my friend was tattooing, and he had worked on a piece that ended up, I don't think it was infected, but
bad reaction.
yeah, I had a bad reaction. He was like, nah, he was just rejecting the ink. And I know for absolutely, like, this is one of the most clean artists that I know. And he's very professional, very clean. And so I was like, sometimes it's out of our control, you know? It's like the person's skin, and body.
And did you actually say it was like trauma to the body?
Well, yeah, like a tattoo is trauma to your skin, because at the end of the day, it's a wound.
That's interesting.
Even though it's superficial, I think it's the dermis that we're tattooing, not the epidermis. I'm not sure. But
okay. Don't quote us.
Yeah, don't quote me.
Just talking.
But yeah, it's still like a really profound scratch if you think about it, Beauty is pain.
Quote that.
Yeah.
You can quote that one. That is facts. So tell me about where this started. Like, I mean, I'm going to say, like, you're young, which is awesome. So you're already kind of creating a business, have a clientele, doing the thing. But where did it start? Like, how old were you? When did you know? Were you a kid?
No, so this has like everything to do with my story and faith, because I grew up in a Christian household and very sheltered. I never cared for tattoos. In fact, on the contrary, it was like tattoos are sin.
Like taboo.
Yeah, so taboo. And but my parents weren't really like religious or like legalistic, even though we did grow up in a pretty legalistic church. But aside from that, it wasn't like, oh, you can never get a tattoo. I just never thought about tattoos or cared for them personally. But I think it was in high school. My mom was working at a salon, and a guy was running a room back there. And he's a tattoo artist, so he was tattooing there at the salon, and he's super humble, amazing artist. Like I think he's the best artist in Texas. And I'm not biased. Like I'll show you his work, but he's amazing.
You can name drop. We'll tag a link later.
Yeah, he's a family friend, and so. He met me in high school. I got a tattoo with him, and he was like, "Oh, your mom said you like drawing. Like you should consider tattooing." So I had that in the back of my mind, but never really cared for tattoos. And so I followed him on Instagram, saw his progress, saw him grow. And then I think I went to college, so I didn't go to school. I went to UHD.
UH.
And then I had another friend who was a tattoo artist as well. So they kind of both influenced me. I was watching them on Instagram just grow and do these amazing tattoos. I was like, okay, you can like make a career out of tattooing, and they're a professional, like amazing, talented artist. But I was still going to school, so even then I wasn't really like, oh, I'm gonna become a tattoo artist. I just thought it
Like
was
a hobby
cool.
and an interest.
Yeah, that's when I started getting interested in tattoos more. Like I started to see the art behind it, but not that I wanted to become a tattoo artist even then. So I think the pandemic happened, and I feel like that's when we all realized, like, had a life realization, like, holy crap, like, what are we doing with our life? That's what happened to me. That was my case. And I realized, man, you know what? School was never for me. I was never a kid that like school and even college. I felt like it wasn't for me.
Do you mind if I ask, what did you study? What were you trying to study, I guess?
Yeah, so I was going for digital media, motion media.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I liked videography and like editing.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
still a creative thing, so I can see the connection.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I got a little bit discouraged because I was already like in my second year going to my third year, and I wasn't like taking any classes that I felt like had anything to do with my degree. I was like taking a leadership class, an HR class, like a history class. And I was like, bro,
Like
this
the
is
basics they require.
and I was just like, I'm
Yeah.
just wasting my time and money, and like I'm not even sure if I want to, work in this field. So that's when I was like, man, I don't think that I want to continue. So I ended up dropping out, and I started considering like, what can I do with like all I know is that I like drawing, and that's it. But I know that I can't live off of a few of my drawings, because I'm not like a professional artist.
That's like the stressful thing. It's like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, like when you're pursuing a passion, but you're like, I'm not making money off of this,
Yeah.
but I know I'm called to go this route.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what did you do? So
So I was like, man, what if I considered tattooing? And I think my parents were desperate, and they're like, I don't care what you do, just do something. So they didn't care. It was tattooing. They were just like, just do something, set your mind to it.
I love parents.
But they were very supportive, surprisingly. I was the one that was holding back because I was like, there's no way I can become a tattoo artist.
So what was it, like fear?
Yeah, it's very fear-based. I had so much fear. I think that not only did I grow up in a Christian household, but I had my own personal encounters with the Lord and really was pursuing Jesus. And so at this time, I was like, man, God, I don't think like you're going to approve of me tattooing.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I was very scared, and I was like, man, like there's no way that you can use tattooing. There's no way I can become like a tattoo artist. I don't see myself going into this industry that's very dark. Yeah, quote unquote. And I see the lifestyle that all these artists are living, and I wasn't being judgmental or anything, but I was just like scared of walking into an industry that is so like different from my values and my beliefs. And so
and unknown also, like you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was so much fear into making a mistake and like dropping out and like pursuing something and like not being successful.
So like your biggest fear was more about making the wrong choice, making like, the wrong decision, making a mistake, which to me, I can relate. It sounds like we have to be perfect. Like we have to do everything right and good and perfect, or we're not enough or something. How would you, if you want to share a little bit about that fear? Like,
so I think I was more scared of like grieving God and like grieving the Holy Spirit. And God is like not fear, like even, and I don't want to get emotional, but like even if we make mistakes,
it's okay. You guys got tissues, right?
Even if we make mistakes as children of God, like He's a good Father,
He loves you.
And like He's not judging you, He's not condemning you. So I prayed, and I was going to a church at the time called Elevate People in downtown, and I talked to a pastor, super cool dude, like he has tattoos. And
Aw.
so, yeah, I don't know what I thought he was going to say, but yeah, I want to talk to him. And he was like, oh my God, you can use it for prison ministry to do cover ups for like inmates that have like gang affiliated tattoos and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And that was the first time like I had this realization, like, oh my God, I can use it for something positive, you know,
Yeah.
and something good.
And be
And
the
definitely
light.
for ministry.
Oh, wow.
So it changed my perspective. And because of his answer and response, I felt so much peace. And I was like, God, all right, God, I'm going to pursue this. And all I pray, like it was such a simple prayer. All I pray is that if this isn't for me, close every door. And if this is for me, open every door. And oh my God, like the contrary happened. He opened like every door for me and just like has been with me since the beginning of my career. So it's been very cool to see how, yeah, he can use something, you know, that we believe can be used for the kingdom of God, but he has been using it. So yeah, it's
That's so
been,
sweet.
yeah.
It gets me a little emotional too, because I understand like the heaviness of wanting to walk righteously and do the right thing, and not, be led into, you mentioned the dark. Like it can get dark in any industry, really, right? You can find corruption.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like really powerful that you get to be used by God, and that He had like a ministry like waiting for you with your name on it.
Yeah.
Right? There's no coincidence.
No, absolutely not. Like I know that he's written my whole story, and like even my upbringing had a big role in setting me up and propelling me and preparing me for my walk and for my career.
That is so sweet. Did you want to maybe share a little bit about your upbringing?
We can hit a little bit on it. My mom was and my dad, but mostly my mom was always involved in ministry, and so I wasn't just going to church on Sunday. I was going to church like 2 to 3 times a week.
Fully involved.
Yeah, fully like low key like a pastor's kid in a
Yeah.
way. And at a very young age, I decided to pursue God fully and to really like be serious about the Lord. But because of that, it did create a really strong foundation in my life. And I think that like low key, I'm like a pastor.
Yeah.
Pastor tattoo
Like in
artist.
training.
Yeah.
You were a pastor in training as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool though. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, that definitely had a big impact and influence in just like my worldview. So that's where the fear came from like craving the Lord, but also like learning that the difference between a religion and relationship.
That's good. That's like the key.
Yeah, and that it's not what we do, but it's Christ through us.
Yeah.
And so I think that I got hired at a studio called Blessed Tattoo Studio. It's not a Christian shop.
I was gonna say,
No.
hey. Okay.
It's not a Christian shop, but it was definitely a blessing and exactly what I needed. I learned everything that I needed to learn there. I was surrounded by amazing artists. And yeah, that gave me the ability to learn and to also be a light there. And so that's where my faith and everything that I grew up learning got tested for sure.
You're trying to pursue your passion, but it's not quite making money. But you kind of said it multiple times, like finding mentors, getting in the industry, like still not giving up.
Yeah, I think definitely, yeah. If you're interested in something, don't close any door. Like stay around people that are successful and definitely like be on the lookout like for opportunities. Even if you don't end up doing it, just like put yourself in situations because you never know, like one connection can lead to so many other open doors, and that was the case for me.
Do you ever get scared that you're gonna mess up? Because it's permanent, right? So you're like, whoops.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen with anything that you do.
That's
you know, because we're not perfect human beings and we're not robots, you know. So yeah,
you're a human, and yeah, I like that.
I am very chill and like I don't like to stress myself out. I'm like I'm such a like whatever it is, what it is person.
Yeah, that's a good way to be.
But it also like if I made a mistake, I'll definitely try to own up to it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a jerk.
Yeah.
And like I'll be like, all right, yeah, definitely. Like I wouldn't recommend a refund, but yeah, like if worst case scenario would be like you know what, like I messed up.
How can I make it right?
How can I make it right? Or can I give you another tattoo or another appointment, like to make sure that you're satisfied. But I think overall, what I have learned is that people prefer the experience than actually getting a perfect tattoo.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like who you are is why we're coming to you, because there's so many tattoo places, which actually leads me to a good question that just came to mind is, did you ever worry about like competition? Because is it a saturated market? Like they're everywhere on every corner. Did you ever have thoughts like that when you were getting started? Like, well, why, like, what would be different about me and how could I compete?
Yeah. No, I'm not a competitive person. So I never, like, that's never been a fear of mine. I think the people that are for you will be for you, especially when you're walking in your identity in the Lord, you know, and as a child of God, you realize that your value doesn't come with how many clients you have, how booked you are, like your art, your creativity. Like the moment we put our identity in that is like the easiest way we lose track of who we are in Christ.
Yeah.
And so just relying on him and relying, okay, he's going to send me the right people. He's going to send me the right clients, like the perfect timing. And if like I lose clients, like I can't stress over that, you know, like, yeah, sure, it does happen where I'm like, man, I'm not as booked as I want to be, but it's never because like, oh, I'm like, you know, competing with other artists. I think it is getting more saturated for sure, because it's easier to become a tattoo artist now than it was 5-10 years ago. But we live in a big city. You know, there's millions of people here. And the beautiful thing about tattoos, too, as a tattoo artist, is like your client is most likely going to come again with you, you know, whereas like one service that can only be one time, it's just going to be that one time. But if they had a good experience with you, they're going to come to you and they're going to refer you to their friends and family.
Yeah.
And I said this the other day, too, but like there's always like someone turning 18.
Yeah.
So it's like a fresh canvas. Like we're always going to have new clients.
Ready.
Yeah. So there's
funny.
always teenagers that are going to get their first tattoo and you know.
I'm like, I was 33 when I got mine, but I'm a late bloomer.
Yeah.
I missed out when I was 18. That's so cute though. And I love your answer. Like it was so humble. Like it was so real, but that is like that you're grounded and rooted in God, right? Like I think that actually makes a huge difference. It's almost convicting too, because like I do have fears, like because we are still human, but that the like handing it over to God thing, that like putting it in his hands and the trusting him that it's going to work out, especially if you feel like led and the doors are being open like you prayed. Yeah, so I think, but even being a believer can be hard because you're just you're human and you get in fear and stuff, but I just loved your answer. It was super grounding.
Yeah, and I did want to touch on the part where you said, I think earlier you said like what sets you apart, you know, from like competing with other artists. There's been times where I kind of think, man, maybe I should hold off from like sharing so much about my faith, you know, because really like my Instagram is where people find me, and like that's like my professional like portfolio in a way.
Yeah.
And I do share so much about my faith and my walk with the Lord, and I'm not ashamed about, you know, the gospel. And so there's been moments where I'm like, man, maybe I should just keep it strictly professional and just share my art and that's it, and like nothing personal about me or my faith. But my faith plays a huge role in who I am as a person, right? So it's kind of like inevitable for me to not share about the Lord and my walk with the Lord.
Yeah.
So I've had so many clients that tell me, hey, I came to you because you're Christian.
Yeah.
I did this chest piece and shoulder piece, and the girl was like, no, what set you apart was like your faith. And that was really cool to hear, because I'm like, man,
It's confirmation.
yeah, it's just like I need to keep being myself, like, you know, because people are gonna draw to that.
Yeah.
So it's cool because also I am very known in the church community, and I've tattooed so many pastors, so many. So I'm like the tattoo artist for so many like Christian friends and ministries. Even like there's a joke because I go to Hope City, or I've gone to Hope City, and they're like, we're just gonna hire you here because I've tattooed so many of the people from Hope City.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so it's cool. I feel like if you stay true to yourself, like there's going to be people that are for you, and you're never going to have to compete, you know.
You just literally made me want another tattoo. To thine own self be true. That's actually kind of why I invited you today, right? It's like I mean, I loved the experience. I was like, this girl's cool. Like, I loved your look and your hair. It's so cute. And my tattoo, I still am in love. Like, it was a spur of the moment thing. I haven't regretted it once. And mine's actually a spiritual. I feel like God talks to me through dragonflies, which is why I picked it. But when I saw, so I did look into you. I looked at your Instagram. I kind of wanted to tag you, right? Give you credit. And I'm like, oh my God, she got baptized. And like, so I started looking because, you know, no coincidences. I've actually just been, I guess you could say, just found God or Jesus really and got baptized like 2 years ago myself. So kind of they call me baby Christian, I guess, right? Like, so I saw that and I was like, oh my goodness, there's more to her, right? It's not just about the tattoos. And it kind of made sense to me, like, why did I wait till I was 33 till my sister's wedding till you showed up?
Yeah, so
full
crazy.
circle,
Yeah.
right? So there's actually such power and meaning in my tattoo. But that's why I reached out to you. So do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't know why I feel so drawn to you. And I also thought, like, oh, she's a pretty girl. Like, she seems cool. But I was like, man, I don't know why I feel so drawn to her. And that's one of the reasons why I followed you. Then I saw, like, oh, you're a Christian. And then I was like, okay, it made sense. Like, you're Christian, you know, like, God was connecting us. Yeah, he was connecting us. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so even though I grew up Christian my whole life, I think there's been ups and downs, you know, in my faith, and just moments where I've definitely been so deeply in the Lord and pursuing him, like super intentional. And then there's moments where I'm like, not like in sin, but definitely like in distraction, not like being intentional with God and like my relationship with him. So recently I went to this conference where it's just like I knew I wasn't there by coincidence, and it's called the Esther Rising. And at the end of the conference, like on the third day, they gave the girls the opportunity to get baptized. And so the Lord just wrecked me at that conference, just spoke to me in so many areas and aspects of my life and things that I was going through. And I was like, yeah, I would love to get baptized. So even though I had been baptized, I think I got baptized like 2-3 times within my life. And then this was probably another time I got baptized. But man, I definitely, when I got into the water and I rose, like this, there's like this spiritual moment and you feel it. I don't know if that's what happened with you, but like something breaking off of you, and it's like newness in Christ. So I just want to
feel the presence.
And it was so beautiful. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but you can always find newness in Christ like every single day. You know, you don't have to get water baptized or go to a church necessarily. You know, there's newness in Christ every single moment. He's a fresh breath of air, you know. That's what he's life, literally. So that's what being Christian is all about, is finding life, resurrecting life. So that was definitely a cool experience. And I think that as Christians, it's a walk, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And so sometimes those moments you know, are absolutely necessary to propel us and push us to our next season. And that's a little bit like behind on like why I got baptized. But I definitely have been Christian my whole life. So but like, you know, these conferences and ministries and churches are definitely a blessing. Definitely finding like the right community and Christians that will push you, you know, in every season, to grow is absolutely necessary in your walk with Christ.
And it's funny because, I mean, I can just relate to everything you're saying because I have similar, you know, story and experiences where I believed in God, but I didn't know Jesus. I did the relationship is a whole different thing where it's you're experiencing versus you know, what I've learned and what I think I know. So I saw that and I click on that, and then I'm like somehow got led to where you were tagged on I guess it's the prison ministry cover-ups, or you did something for a nonprofit.
When Pastor Brandon, the pastor that I talked to about like tattoos and stuff, and he was the one who was like, you should do it for prison ministry. When he told me that, I started doing my own research, and started to look into if there's anything like, a tattoo ministry. So I came across this guy, called Chris Baker, and I'm not sure which state he's in, but he has this tattoo studio, and basically he does cover ups for prison ministry and for sex trafficking victims as well in his studio. And he speaks all over the world, sharing his testimony. So I followed him. I think about a year ago, he followed me back and we connected. And he had said that he was going to come to Texas for a cover up. So it's been a while since we've been wanting to connect. But he works with Elijah Rising. So they get him. He's a tattoo artist. They get him to come in and do the cover ups for the girls. Okay. So he came about 2 months ago, I think, and was going to do a cover up for one of the girls. So he's like, "Oh, you want me to plug you in with this ministry? They would love to connect with you and meet you." And I was like, "Yes, absolutely." So it was through him that he connected me through Elijah Rising. And then I recently started working with them to do the cover ups for some of the girls that have tattoos, that are either self harm scars, or tattoos that they got either forced on them or by a pimp. Or just like that reminds them of their past. Yeah. So that it's beautiful to be able to cover that up with something different and like a beautiful piece of art. They're not reminded of their past because they're really trying to change and to live a new life. So it's hard because they're like looking at their tattoos every single day. That kind of brings them back to their trauma. Heavy reminder. So that's the first ministry that I've started working with. Eventually I would love to do prison ministry, and also influence inmates or ex inmates, because tattooing is actually a big part of the culture in prison. And there's a lot of inmates that become amazing artists because they have so much time on their hands that they draw. And eventually, once they're out, they also can't find a regular job. So it's hard to rehabilitate and come back into the free world. So I would love to equip them with the right resources to become tattoo artists and set them up for success.
That is so powerful.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely God, absolutely. And that's really why I got into tattooing in the first place. Was to do this type of stuff and to honor God and to spread the gospel and make an impact in the industry.
And be a light.
Yeah, and so not only is tattooing at my studio, like I consider it a ministry, but also partnering with other ministries. And, I think that's equally as important and valuable.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
It's God. That's like a mic drop right there. We're done. She dropped the mic. And all this tattoo talk, I have one from you, and I feel like this is the moment where I decided, am I just the one wonder, right? Like, or is this they say when you get one, you get addicted. And
there's never just one.
There you go. So I think this is the moment. So I'm ready to get another tattoo.
All right, I got you. Let's do it right now. All right, so we made it happen. I brought my machine, and Michelle's about to get tatted.
Again.
Yeah, so now it's my time to interview you. No, I just wanted you to share, if you can, the meaning behind your tattoo.
Yeah, absolutely. So the one is greater than 99. I actually saw it on your Instagram. I know somebody else already did it, and I bopped it and I took it. But it's a powerful meaning. There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about the lost sheep. And actually, I might get emotional now.
Oh, it's okay.
But I did feel like I was lost for a while, and it's just a reminder that kind of what you're talking about, like, you don't have to be perfect. You can make mistakes, and like God is going to chase you harder if you do wander or if you stray, because he loves you, and it's more important that one, right, than the 99. So just, it's a sweet reminder.
Yeah, I love that passage. He's talking about Jesus going after the one lost sheep, and it doesn't matter if he leaves the 99. He's willing to leave the 99 perfect sheep that were behaving and doing what they were supposed to go after the one lost sheep, because they're equally as valuable to him. Yeah. And I personally, I feel like that's been the case in some seasons of my life where the Lord is like, no, I'm still chasing you. And that's always the case, as a child of God. He's constantly pursuing us, and I think that that's the difference between Christianity and other religions. You know, in other religions, it's like people pursuing a God, but God is chasing after us, and Jesus was the one who came, you know, to save the world through him. So I love it. Let's make it happen.
Let's go. I'm like, sorry, Dad.
And this is proof that you can't just get one tattoo.
Yeah.
You
if
get
you're getting
addicted.
one, you're addicted.
You're gonna get more for sure.
I confirm.
All right. Like, tell me if you need a break.
I know. I'm like, I'm actually
it's gonna be really fast, I promise.
I know I act cool, but I am such a wimp.
Can you guys hold her hand?
I'll let you know. I'll be like, Miguel. Yeah. Is that okay, or should I lay it flat?
No, you're good like that.
Oh yeah, I forgot it hurts.
Well, the hand
Don't
is
tell
a little
me.
bit more sensitive. Yeah, it's like practically the finger. It's gonna be quick though. We already got one afterwards.
That's what I love about you. You're short and sweet.
Mm-hmm. You're blasted now. Who are you?
I know. Who am I, guys?
You're gonna make your sister jealous.
And she went before me. She led the way.
Mm-hmm.
My sister's so cute.
She influenced you.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, her husband, that was his first tattoo, right, at the wedding?
Oh, that's right. That's sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's meaningful. Like, it's, and this one is, too. Both of these are actually, the dragonfly also, it's kind of how God speaks to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll be having a really rough time, and more than one dragonfly will be around, and I'm just like, I see you, I hear you. You know, it's confirmation.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's in your like, don't pass out. Some people pass out.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you were saying that.
Are you
done? Hey, and that's a wrap.
Mm-hmm.